Welcome to the Constructing a Business podcast, produced by the CMC Network. At CMC, we help women and minority-owned businesses overcome the obstacles they face every single day through networking opportunities, incremental business development, and business coaching specifically for the construction industry. My name is Michael Obither. I'm with Supporting Strategies. We are an outsourced virtual bookkeeping team here in New York City. We help construction leaders build profit. Today on the pod, our guest is Carl Griffith. He has been an electrician for at least 35 years. I'm super happy to have him here. Carl, how are you today?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. How are you?
Fabulous. Me too. Thank you. I was doing a little research before this pod, and I learned that you started in the electrical field as early as high school, and I was curious to know that story. How did you find electrical work so early in life?
Well, I think I've been blessed to know what I wanted to do from a very early age. Actually, in junior high school, we did like these little exploratory shops type things, and when we had to do like little electrical projects, I found that that's what I wanted to do and what I like to do. So I seeked out a high school to go to that would teach the trade. And I ended up going to Alexander Hamilton High School in Brooklyn.
Beautiful.
And again, they put us through an exploratory process. So I did carpentry first, and I was like, nope, don't like this, don't want to do it. Then I did metal work, and I was like, nope, don't like that, don't want to do it. I want to go to electrical. So my sophomore year or 10th grade, I got into the electrical shop and just excelled and just like enjoyed going to school just to go to shop. And when I got into 11th grade, the Board of Ed had a program where electrical contractors would hire us for the summer. We'll work, for an electrical contractor for the summer, and the Board of Ed would pay us, so it was like a win-win situation. And I started working when I was in the 11th grade. And 12th year, I was going to graduate, and the contractor called the school and said, hey, those guys that work with us, if they want a job, they got it. Just tell them to come down.
Amazing.
I didn't even graduate yet. I just went straight to work.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll share that I also went to a trade school. So did my stepfather and my father. It just seemed like a natural choice. I have sort of a similar story. In middle school, we did a project, and it kind of got my interest in cooking, a little different than electrical, but a very similar story. Went to a great trade school in Northampton, Massachusetts, did the exploratory program, did metalwork, did drafting, a whole bunch of different things, but really culinary arts was what I was going there to learn. Had an awesome experience and had some very important work experiences that definitely shifted the way that I look at life and work and working with people. So thank you for sharing. I think that's pretty great. I'm curious, in your business today, do you participate in a work program with any local trade schools?
No, I don't, and I would love to. Actually, a couple of times I went back to some of the schools I went to, because I remember when I was in school, they would have a program where they would bring professionals in to speak to the students, kind of like pep talk, I called it.
Yeah.
And I went up to the schools and told them, listen, if you guys are ever going to do that again, here's my information. Contact me. I would love to do it. I did do it once, actually. My son went to Catholic school, and they did something like that. And I did it at his school like once. But yeah, I would love to do something like that. I actually enjoy teaching the trade.
Yeah. Listen, New York Board of Ed, if you're hearing this, reach out.
There you go.
We have opportunity for your kids. So that's amazing. So outstanding. So I'm sure there's I am curious, and I know you're running your own business now, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't be on this podcast, right? But how many years did you work in the field before you took the leap of faith and founded Xena?
So I lost count, but I worked in the field for at least 22, 23 years, maybe 25 years.
Okay.
I lost count. I stopped counting. It's making me feel old when I count the years. So, but
Sorry.
it's definitely over 20 years that I was working in the field. And again, I really have to give thanks for being blessed because unlike a lot of other electrical professionals that I've met that have worked for a million different contractors, I was blessed to work for a select few. And, like, I think that gave me the opportunity to really hone my skills as an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, you're moving from place to place, you don't know what you're gonna get, what you're gonna do. So yeah, it's about 20 something years that I've worked, and then 10 years ago I went out on my own.
So 10 years ago. So here's my question about that, because I think, in my world, I meet all these people. Some of them go to very fancy schools and they work at big firms doing different things. And they may be there for many years, honing their skills, but very rarely are they taught or given the opportunity to experience leadership, management, business development, and business management. I'm curious if, having been at those companies you were with for several years, were you given opportunities to learn the skills you now need as a business leader?
I want to say yes and no, and this is the reason why I'm saying that. The last firm that I worked for, I was there for roughly 15 years, maybe a little more. Um, I was like the main foreman in the company, and I did a lot of big projects. For the company, for the size of the company, big projects for that company, and I did everything. From organizing the men to reading the blueprints to ordering the material to coordinating for other trades, coordinating with Con Edison, the building department, like everything. The only thing I didn't do was send out the bills and collect the checks, basically, right? Um, I even developed like a timesheet tracking system for them, for the guys on the job, so I could easily get the time information into the office and so forth. So from that aspect, I didn't realize until one day my boss said to me, you don't realize, but when I put you on these jobs, you're running a business. That job is like a business within itself, and you're running the whole thing. I never thought of it that way. Um, but, and this is the reason why I love Vivian. Um, Working from in an office or working as a business owner is a complete different world, in my opinion. It's a complete different world. It's a different animal, and I didn't get the opportunity to work in the office, working for other companies. And now, Vivian is helping me with that, because that's like my big point. I can do electrical work all day long with my eyes closed, but working as a business owner in the office and strategizing, that's what Vivian is helping me put together.
So I don't know if you want to share, but I'm going to ask you to, and if it's too much, you don't have to. But I'm just curious. You're in the office, early in your new business, and you've got a whole bunch of new responsibilities. What was the biggest shock to you in terms of, now you're here, you were probably still doing a lot of the work at that point, but what was the biggest shock about that office environment, and maybe something you didn't expect?
It's a lot of work. it's a lot of work, and and so let me put it this way: my wife is in the corporate world. It has been since high school, right? Since she got out of high school, and even as she was going to college, she was working in the corporate world. So I used to tease her all the time and say, "You don't work hard. Why are you tired?" Because I worked as an electrician. I'm up and down ladders and running all over the place. So I come home, I'm beat up, I'm tired. And I used to say to her, "Why are you tired? You sit at a desk all day. You shouldn't be tired. You should be full of energy right now." She was like, "You don't get it." Yeah. After I started working in the office, yeah, it's a lot more difficult than someone on the outside looking in would realize.
Yeah.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah. 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 It's mentally draining. There's thousands of details to think about every day. Plus, you only have
Yep.
so many hours where you can actually work. So figuring out what's important is probably job one. Because I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff you may not get to. I know there's things I don't get to every day. Um, I have to prioritize other things. Is that part of what Vivian helps you with? Like, what's it like working with Viv, and how has that shifted the way you're operating? Just in the we can talk about business overall in a minute, but just from that office experience, are you operating differently with her oversight or her advice?
I'm certainly starting to think different. I wish, and it's on me because transitioning from being an electrician to a business person is like pulling teeth for me, right? I guess some people can do it easily, but I mean, Vivian is opening up my eyes to a lot of things that like they say sometimes you know something, but you don't know until you see it or until someone says it. I mean, so I'm still comfortable with running and going up the ladder, right? That's my comfort world. Grab a piece of pipe, install it, whatever. Um, but Vivian is showing me that you know I kind of have to let that go. Get my hands off the tools. She actually told me to take my tools out of my truck. You know, she's like, "Take the tools out of the truck. Take them out."
Yeah,
and,
it's
and,
funny. All
and
right.
she's right, right? If I don't take the tools out of the truck, I'm gonna continue to work in the field. But you know, being in the office and leading, they say you got to lead from the front.
Hmm.
Well, everything happens from the office, right? So if the office is not leading from the front, then things just don't fall into place the way you want them to.
Yeah, it's a big shift. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it with my own relatives, and I'm happy you're taking those steps. So you're leading from the front. You have no tools. Maybe you got a cell phone and a pen now. I don't. But how is that shifting the way your business is operating in the job environment on the job site? Um, we're looking at things from the office perspective. Have you made changes in the way you organize the work or your people or approach new opportunities? What's been the change there?
So the biggest change I would say, and is like huge for me, is I'm starting to be more proactive rather than reactive.
Mm.
and and also, like you mentioned before, like thinking of what's most important. What's the most important thing that needs to be done. So without me realizing it, Vivian has got me to like stop and say, "No, you're supposed to be focusing on this, not that. That can wait." You know what I mean? And because before I was reacting to everything. Something happened, I'll stop what I'm doing, I run up, put that fire out. I'd stop and I run up, put that fire out. But now I'm more feel like I'm starting to feel like I'm more in control right now. And I'm
Nice.
and I'm proactive and like doing things that I want to do when I want to do it. Not completely, but way better than I used to be. Way better than I used to be.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, what is the, you said you've been working with Vivian, or you've known her since the fall. Have you been working with her since the fall?
Well, no, I'm working directly with Vivian now. I want to say 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks.
Holy cow.
Um, but prior to working with Vivian, um, I had sort of like an interview with someone that dealt with insurance, HR, accountant. I spoke with an attorney, and it was like that's another um, plus with me getting on board with CMC.
Yeah.
Vivian knows a lot of people.
Yeah, that was probably Adrian, Mr. Dirks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Adrian Schaefer.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So we should just take a second to let everyone know who Viv actually is, because we've been talking about it.
Talking about it, right? Who
Yeah.
is this Vivian?
So Vivian Mendala is the leader of the CMC network. She's got a great history in construction and community development. She's an absolute powerhouse. She's a great leader. She's a great strategic thinker. And, this is her organization. This podcast is about the organization that she's building to help people make the transition that we've been talking about with Carl right now, right? That sort of transition from being in the field, getting the work done, maybe managing that whole site, but then pulling back from that and seeing multiple sites, and then, oh yeah, all the office administration, payroll, insurance, all the other fun stuff that needs to be in place to grow a successful construction firm. 4 weeks. You sounds like you have made tremendous progress in 4 weeks. That's amazing.
Yeah, if I could only stop being a knucklehead, I think I'd be doing a lot better. But I guess it's a process, and I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah. So where do you see? I guess I want to ask you. I want to break this down into 2 questions. So the first question I want to ask: what made you think like, oh yeah, working with Vivian here at the CMC seems like a good idea? What was that?
Someone had reached out to me and introduced the network to me prior to me speaking to Vivian.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you're probably going to laugh at this one. So we scheduled a call for Vivian to introduce herself to me and her network and what she's all about, what the organization is all about. But so happened that the time that call was scheduled for, I had to pick my wife up. Right? So I had already like just from the introduction, my interest was already peaked because I knew the help that I needed, right? But I had to pick my wife up at the same time I was supposed to have to call with Vivian. So my wife got into the car just as I was starting the conversation with Vivian. And when I got done speaking to Vivian, got off the phone, my wife looked at me, she says, "I like her." So I think that was what sealed it. Was once she says, "I like her,"
Yeah.
you need her to put you in place. I think that was the thing that sealed the deal. But yeah, from just the introduction of what the organization provides as far as the networking and the training and stuff, I know that's what I need, to get me to that next step and beyond.
Great, because that's my second question. So does your vision for the future of Xenoelectric look different now after 4 weeks than it did 4 or 5 weeks ago before you had begun working with Viv? you can tell me about that and tell me what your plan is, where you're hoping to take Xena.
It's definitely changed. It's gotten bigger, right? And I used to say something to, like, if I meet a young guy coming into the field and they're curious about what this whole electrical, being an electrician can do for me, right? And I would tell them, listen, sky's the limit. This get coming into this trade and learning it, enjoying what you do, and doing it well, and going from there to getting your mass electrical license. Like, I'm like, then you can earn as little as you want or as much as you want.
Yeah.
It's like wide open. You know, I used to say that to kids. When I'm saying kids, a young gentleman coming into the field, and I even said it to myself. But I really never thought about it for myself or for my company. Like, what's your earning potential, or where do you want to be? And I did, like, some time ago, was in a program, and they got us to, like, kind of dream a little bit. And I says, yeah, you know what? I want to be a company that does like $5 million a year. $5 to $6 million a year. I'd be comfortable with that. Yeah, I'm way past that now. I'm way past that now. I got I got dreams and aspirations for putting together a serious firm. I mean, from the office to the field staff, yeah, completely different. Not $5 or $6 million a year. Yeah, wait, way past that.
Well, but right, but
Way
that's part
past
of
it.
this, right? It's giving yourself the permission, I guess, or the courage to look beyond your own understanding of what's possible. I'm like 5 million is a great number, but certainly there's more, right? If you want it. But
Yep.
it's like, do you have a vision, right? Sometimes I think it's hard for us to live in our lives, working it every single day, no matter what you do, and think too far outside the structure that you see, unless you have a coach, someone who can open your eyes, kind of pick you up and be like, hey, look, you know. So I kind of feel that's what maybe Viv is helping you do.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's beautiful. So those are all my main questions. I guess I just want to wrap it up. I just want to make sure, is there anything for people listening who are, in any trade, any area of construction, an important lesson that you've learned that they should know about? Some little pearl of wisdom that you can share?
Um. Yeah, I'm trying to. It's something that Vivian said to me, and I'm trying to remember her exact words, and I can't. But she says the fish stinks from the head down. Something like that. She says, and I, the way I take that is, if you're the leader or owner of a business and things are not working out well for you, you first start to look within yourself to make the changes within yourself, and then that fish will start to smell a lot better.
That's good
So,
advice for every human being in any situation,
yeah, yeah.
anywhere. But that's awesome. Carl, I appreciate you sharing this with us today. It was nice to talk with you. It was great to hear
Oh,
your story. What is the best way for people if they want to reach out to Xenoelectric or reach out to you? What's the best way for them to do it?
I guess I'm a little old school, so I would say probably one of the best ways is our phone number, 718-841-7838. But our website is Xenoelectric.com, www.xenoelectric.com. We're on Facebook, same by the same name. Instagram. So we're here.
You're here. Give us that phone number one more time.
718-841-7838.
Awesome. Thank you. Everybody, this is Michael Obither with Supporting Strategies, thanking you for joining us on the Constructing a Business podcast. We'll see you in the next pod.